Hey folks, this is Kalani. It has been a very busy and eventful week in World of Warcraft. 10.2.6 launched with the surprise Plunderstorm event to quite a mixed reception by the looks of things. There have been plenty of hotfixes to try and address various issues, but the whole PvP part seems to be a sticking point for a lot of folks. There's a special streaming event that will pit content creators against each other in Plunderstorm for cash prizes, some new Twitch drops and rewards to pick up, and we have a lot more information about Season 4 and how that's going to spice things up as we wrap up the Dragonflight expansion. There's a lot to talk about, so let's break it all down. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. This week was the big reveal for 10.2.6. This was the first patch in a very long time where we had zero information going into patch day. All we had were some vague references to pirates, and what we got was certainly a big surprise. I don't think anyone could have pegged 10.2.6 as a battle royale game mode. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why the reception has been so polarized. Players either seem to love Plunderstorm or hate it, without much of an in-between. So that kind of begs the question, was patch 10.2.6 and keeping everything a secret something of a mistake? From what I've seen, most of the complaints come from it being a PvP event, and if you don't like PvP, then there's nothing in this patch for you to do. That seems to be the mindset here, which I think is a shame. This isn't like any other PvP event, or really even PvP gameplay in World of Warcraft, so if someone is writing it off just because it's PvP, that seems a bit short-sighted. But then you have the rewards. There are some great cosmetic goodies to grab from this event, mounts, pets, and plenty of transmog, so if you want the rewards you have to take part in the event, but then if you don't like PvP, that can leave a sour taste in your mouth. Thankfully, you can get all of the rewards without PvPing in Plunderstorm. You can get a lot of plunder by focusing on the PvE in the early game and totally avoiding players. Heck, you can even get second or third, and if you are lucky, snag a first place spot by avoiding players the entire game and picking off stragglers as you stay ahead of the storm. And even if all you do is try to farm mobs and open chests at the start, it's pretty easy to get plunder before you even have to think about PvP. So you technically don't have to PvP to get anything from the round track. PvP will make things faster after the hotfixes, and if you can get into the PvP part, obviously the event is going to be a lot more fun as a whole. So you can just focus on mobs and chests and PvE, but the question of whether you find playing Plunderstorm that way fun still remains. Now personally, I've been really enjoying the event. It's something we haven't seen before in WoW, and despite not really being much of a PvPer, I've been having a blast with it so far. It definitely beats spamming the same Season 3 dungeons or killing the same raid bosses over and over again for the next few weeks, and it's not like we win every game. Sometimes we jump in, get insta-gibbed by another team, and are dead within 10 seconds. That's just the nature of the game, and that's fine. You hop into another one and hope things go well. I personally think Plunderstorm is way better than any other PvP option available in WoW. It's just a shame that it's a time-limited event right now, though I assume it will return in one form or another when content starts to slow down again. What really intrigues me though is how much of an experiment this is. We're playing with more action-oriented combat instead of tab targeting. We also have much fewer abilities, which means restricted choices, but also more accessible gameplay. It's also completely classless and totally removed from the standard WoW game, so your in-game progress doesn't really matter and you aren't limited by what class you usually play. Add-ons also aren't allowed, the UI has been streamlined to cut out all of the noise, and everyone starts on an even playing field. Drops and upgrades are random, so it's different each time you play. It's intended to be short-form gameplay, where matches are over pretty quickly, and it's a mix of PvE and PvP. On top of all of that, no one had any idea this was coming. They successfully kept this patch a surprise right up until launch day. That is a lot of different things to test at once, and I hope the dev team are getting some valuable data for what seems to work, what's engaging, what isn't, to better shape future WoW content. We could see bits and pieces of this event make their way into the game in other ways. It doesn't have to be PvP next time, it doesn't have to be Battle Royale, but some of the groundwork here can be reused for other features or systems. The dev team has also been making changes quite quickly. We've had several rounds of hotfixes so far this week, reputation earnings were drastically increased, plunder rewards from various activities were buffed, in some cases massively, like in the case of PvP kills, especially towards the end of the game, and winning is now actually worth aiming for. There have been various buffs and nerfs to abilities as well to try and even the playing field, so the dev team is paying attention and making adjustments where necessary. Some of these hotfixes also revealed interesting information like the existence of MMR for Plunderstorm that was apparently updated to be a bit more accurate. If you don't know what MMR is, it's basically a hidden rating system. The better or worse you do in a match, the higher or lower your MMR will go. MMR is what matches you up with other players, and the goal is to ensure that you're pitted against players of a similar skill level and that you don't get stomped 100% of the time. You are going to need to play a bit to get your MMR to an accurate point though, but put bluntly, if you are bad at Plunderstorm and you lose your matches a lot or really quickly, you should eventually get matched with other people who are also bad at Plunderstorm. The opposite is also true. If you're doing really well, you should get matched with the better players for future matches. This means that the more you play, the closer you're going to get to a fairer matchup. That's assuming the MMR works properly anyway. So if you've been struggling with Plunderstorm, hopefully that MMR update will put you in better matches going forward, and the grind for your renown won't be so much of a slog. Now, along with the various renown rewards you can work to, there is also a special vendor that pops up in retail WoW whenever you hit renown level 5. A lot of folks don't seem to know about this, but getting to renown 5 unlocks some retail WoW progression items for your actual characters. The next time you log into Retail WoW after reaching Renown 5, you'll be given a pop-up quest to go talk to some pirates in the Valdraken Inn, and you'll be given 15 keg stamped coins. You can use these coins to buy flight stones, drake crests, or worm crests from the Keg Legs crew quartermaster, so you basically get some free upgrade materials for the current season. There's also the Pirate's Booty item, which costs a handful of copper, so it's also basically free. This item will give you a piece of normal Amidrisil raid loot, which could be a nice upgrade for a lot of lower geared players or for anyone with lower geared alts. Sadly, you only get one of these per Battle.net account, but you can trade it to any of your characters, so give it to whichever character will benefit from that free piece of gear the most. That's not all for Plunderstorm though, there's also a content creator contest being streamed on March 30th that pits popular streamers against each other for a chance to win a pretty sizable cash prize. You can check out the teams in the link in the description. The best part about this event though, in my opinion, is that it should be much easier to follow along as a spectator. If you've played Plunderstorm for any length of time, you probably understand the 10 different offensive and utility spells or abilities, as well as the items and what they do, so it's much easier to see what's happening on screen, which abilities people are running with or favouring, which skills are being cast towards other people, and what people are just dying to, is all much simpler when compared to the actual gameplay of World of Warcraft PvP. Being easier to follow makes it more accessible, and if you actually understand what's going on in the game, I think it's a lot more exciting, or at least it's easier to get excited about what's happening. I can't wait to see who comes out on top though. Now, speaking of streaming, right now you can also get a special battle pet Fathom, a blinged out purple crab, from Twitch Drops. All you need to do is link your Battle.net account to your Twitch account and watch 4 hours of any WoW channel that has drops enabled. If you've set this up for drops before, you should be all good to go, and the drops should be available until April 4th, so you have plenty of time to increment that watch time. All in all, I think Plunderstorm has been a fun change of pace. It's not perfect by any means, and it definitely won't appeal to everyone, but I'm glad they took the risk with 10.2.6. Now moving on, the other main update we got this week was for the actual World of Warcraft game and what comes next in Dragonflight. Sometime this coming week I would expect Season 4 to pop up on the PTR to start its testing cycle, so we can see how the dev team are trying to spice things up for the rest of the expansion. That will give us a clearer look at how Season 4 is shaping up, but thanks to the magic of data mining we already have a pretty good idea about some aspects of the new season. For example, we now know that Season 4 will be using all 8 original Dragonflight dungeons for the Mythic Plus system. The dungeon progression has also been changed up quite a bit, so Mythic dungeons will be a lot harder but provide a better sense of progression and way better rewards. The 3 Dragonflight raids will be returning, and instead of being called Fated, I guess this time we're calling them Awakened. We're not too sure if they will be on a weekly rotation like they were during the Shadowlands Fated season. It could really go either way at this point, but I don't think there's been anything data mined that points directly to a weekly schedule, and I hope it stays that way. Something else that has been data mined for Season 4 is a large reputation gains bonus for almost every faction in the Dragonflight expansion. The Sign of Awakened Storms give bonus rep for the Dragonscale Expedition, Marok Centaur, and Iskar Tuskar by 50%. The Sign of Awakened Embers increases rep with Loam Niffen, Rathian, Sibelian, and Sori Dormi, also by 50%, and then the Sign of Awakened Dreams increases rep with the Dream Wardens and Valdrakken Accord by 50%. From the way these buffs are set up, I bet they're going to be on a weekly rotation, with only one of the buffs available at any given time. It seems like the only real reason why it's not just a straight 50% rep buff to all Dragonflight factions. They've split them up into individual buffs so they can reward them at different times. Now, some folks have suggested that the reputation gains rotation reinforces the possibility of the raids also having a rotation, just like in Season 4 of Shadowlands. There are 3 raids to match up perfectly with these 3 different rep buffs, so they can rotate together on a weekly basis. That definitely makes sense, but personally I hope we don't see a raid rotation with Dragonflight Season 4, and that they are all available all the time to tackle whenever we want. The Fated or Awakened raid mode should be just a toggle that we can turn on or off to ensure folks still have access to the normal difficulties to farm transmog and mounts, and then let everyone pick and choose which raids they want to do on Awaken to target the loot or rewards they need. Season 4 probably won't be that long if everything goes to plan, so limiting things like the rep bonuses or the raids we can run would just reduce the amount of potential fun to be had, in my opinion. Just have it all active right from the get-go. Give players a good chunk of time to work on the reps and content they still want to complete. Something else very important that we know about Season 4 is that legendary items in Dragonflight, so the Fist Weapon for Evokers from Aberrus and then the Axe from Farak in Amirdrasil, both of these will stay relevant as we progress through Season 4. There's an item for each of these that will upgrade their item level to 502, and that item also says they can be upgraded further, so they may end up being on par with the highest tiers of gear available in Season 4. The only question left is, how do we get our hands on these upgrade items, and how can we upgrade them beyond that initial 502 mark? That's the kind of stuff we will probably find out next week. Along the same kind of vein, we also know that crafted gear will remain important in Season 4 thanks to a new spark. We'll be collecting Sparks of Awakening to fuel our crafted gear upgrades in Season 4. We're not too sure where it's going to come from just yet, but data mining points towards a new weekly quest, which isn't too surprising. But the interesting part is that we may be getting a splintered spark every week, and therefore one spark every 2 weeks like the previous seasons, or we might actually see a full spark every week. Again, we'll get a clearer picture when the PTR becomes available for testing, but we could see faster spark acquisition in Season 4, which will speed up your gearing quite considerably. But that's all of the info we have for Season 4 so far, and my thoughts on the Plunderstorm event, so that's it for this video. What do you think of Plunderstorm from what you've seen so far, and if you aren't enjoying it, what is the main problem from your point of view? If you are enjoying it, what do you think the best part is, and how do you hope the dev team uses this event to shape future content in WoW? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members who are on YouTube. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you'd like to add your name to the end of every video with a special shout out at the start of the next video, you can find links in the description over to Patreon and click the join button just below this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.